Hi, everyone. It's Keith, the executive producer of More About Birth. And I wanted to just let you know on behalf of Shannon and Angie from her house and Shannon and I here from our house, we want to greet you. Stay safe. We wish you the best. We actually planned this footage for an extra Tuesday month, and we have 5 Tuesdays in March. And so here's an introduction from a number of weeks ago and even further back, a great extra bonus footage. I hope you enjoy this. We'll let the girls introduce this footage. Hopefully we'll see you very soon back in the More About Birth set. God bless you. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. Please check out Natural Care Midwifery, our podcast page, for our full disclaimer. Well, welcome back to More About Birth. We are in a bonus little reel today. So ladies, tell us what we're going to do. We had a guest a few weeks ago and we got excited and did actually 3 parts. So we're going to do part 3.
So yeah, we've got an extra week this month. So we thought we'd take that bonus footage that was so good that we didn't really have time to fit in the other podcast. And we'd kind of give you a little extra in that 5th week. So yeah, you want to remind everybody who Cal is and what we talked about?
Yeah, so Cal Spinney owns Cal's Fitness in Kennewick, and he's our local Pilates guru, and we had a lot of fun having him on. So
he's from Boston.
He is a salty Bostonian.
And if they haven't watched this podcast, they're missing out. He was fun.
It was funny.
He was standing up. He made us laugh. We laughed on camera, off camera. It was a blast.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, I feel like if you don't watch all the way to the end on all of the Cal episodes, you kind of missed out.
So the best part.
Yeah.
Plus, my favorite thing is I was here with him. I was here the whole podcast. He was great. I watching the video back. It was amazing. He kept including me in the podcast, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because I am here. You can't see me, but I'm here.
Hi, Keith.
He's here. So join us. We're going to watch the rest of the story.
Yep.
From Boston. Well, welcome back to More About Birth. This is actually a bonus segment. We are going to continue with Cal Spinney and talk about Pilates. We have some more questions, and we weren't done talking. So thanks for joining us. And we're just going to take a few minutes to wrap this up and talk about things we missed in our More About Birth podcast. So here we go. Angie, what's some questions that you still had for Cal?
Remember, there's far less people.
Better make it right one. We have.
I'm totally kidding. Just kidding. If you're still listening, we love you even more than the original people.
All 2 of you, right?
2,000.
Yeah, 2,000.
I kid. Come on.
Oh my lands. One thing we did not hit on. I want to talk specifically about what ways that are wrong to rehab. So common ways that people are going to go to try to heal their abdominal separation that are going to actually make it worse.
Yeah.
I know we can talk about this too.
Name 3 exercises off the top of your head or 3 poses or whatever that are going to be like a big no postpartum.
Anything that arches you backwards and creates an opening from the bottom front rib to your pelvic bone, where you're essentially leaning back. Imagine you've got a Swiss ball, one of those big bouncy balls.
A birth ball.
A birth ball, and you lay on your back on it. That is the opposite of what you want to do. You will open it more. You want to lay on your belly and go the other way over it. And it isn't that you want to lay on your belly and go over it, because that's passive. You want to actively engage the muscles on the front of the body. I have a 6-year-old. He loves to wait and lurk around the corner for me in the house, and he will gut punch me. He will try to knock my spleen back into my spine. So before I go around the corner, I tighten my abs up, and then he hits me, and it's a solid thump. The point is, you want to knit inward, pull the belly button gently into your body, take a deep breath, pop your ribs out if you need to, and then blow the breath out, squeezing the ribs down and in as you pull the belly button. But then you have to live that way. It does not count to do that 2 times, 10 times, 20 times. So it's gentle. Dial it back from maximum contraction. Walk around the house. Do the dishes. Go shopping. Stand on one leg at the checkout line and pull your belly button.
I know. It's hard mentally.
You pop the chest up and lean back a little bit when you did that.
But while you're doing that, you're healing.
Inward.
You're healing the body.
You're giving the 2 sides of the abdominal wall proximity so that they can literally join back together with the body's own healing.
Right?
You will join back together
tissue.
again. Yep. But if you arch your back, if you push your stomach out, if you do anything to stretch the front of your body out. They are literally not in proximity. What do they do to heal a cut? They stitch it up so it's in proximity. It allows the scab to form, allows the healing to happen.
It's like two pieces of perineum. Just get them in the same
it's like
proximity
a
and
husband
they'll
and wife.
heal.
If they're not together, it's a disaster, right?
Yes.
Sleeping in different bedrooms, yeah, that's gonna get you.
That sounds like a Boston line right there,
awful.
man.
I kid, but so you can curl in exaggeratedly, look in at your belly button. All the beginning Pilates exercises in Matt say literally the cue is curl in, look at your belly button, round your back backwards. So there are exercises like rolling like a ball, teaser. Anyone that's had any exposure to Pilates knows teaser. You're on your butt, your legs are sticking up in the air, your head and shoulders are up in the air, and you're grabbing your ankles, so to speak.
If you're wanting to curve in, then why? I'm not trying to be antagonistic, but why?
Antagonize me, baby. I lived for that. That was my ex-wife. It lasted for 3 years. It was beautiful.
Why is that position when you are on the computer nursing your baby?
Because it's
on
structurally unsound.
So, but we're curling in to do.
Cameras on or not?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit confused.
So
It happens.
This will guaranteed engage the abdominal muscle, the rectus abdominis. When they contract, they shorten
And then you're
the
sucking
bottom
in.
rib. So here's the rib popped out. There's no strength. You can see the bottom rib cage, right? If I take an exhale, where's the rib?
Oh.
Where's the rib? Like you feel the
Yeah,
rib?
yeah.
Can't see the rib.
Right.
Pectoral muscle, no rib. So that contraction to correct what you want to correct in the forefinger gap that you were talking about
Right.
is not a function of how curled you are or even necessarily, if you're good, how far back, what's keeping me from falling backwards.
Your muscle.
Fact, abs. They open up, I fall back. They contract, they hold me. Right? They're the cantilever that's holding me up.
Well, you mentioned letting your breath out before you.
So you're
That's
teaching
really
them
hard
the
for
correct.
me.
So I'm hunching over watching my phone. I'm not doing correct posture. I'm not
Correct.
doing what you're talking
and you
about.
do not want to do
But
your exercise.
you're teaching me
with
how to
posture.
practice when I'm doing that, walking around the house as you're saying a woman could walk around the house doing that. You're teaching the correct way of holding those muscles.
Wait, hold on. Before you go, hold
I
that.
gotta
I have to deal with this because otherwise you're going to have trouble. This is a very
I'm still
technical
confused.
issue. So I'm going to get to what you're getting,
Okay.
what you want by going past the postpartum separation issue. Dealing with a crisis situation in the body. Who cares about diabetes if you're suicidal and you're going to jump off a bridge, right? Deal with the jumping off the bridge and deal with the diabetes. You want to get those muscles, get the two sides of the abdominal wall together for long enough that you start the healing process before you worry about posture. So someone can come to me hunched over with a separated issue, whether it's a guy who has a hernia or a woman postpartum. You deal with the postpartum separation first, then you put the shoulders back on their back and stand them up. Closer to the pelvic floor, deal with it first. Right? Because you can't do anything. You can't even get somebody to walk right if the pelvis is misaligned.
Right.
You cannot stabilize the pelvis and get that aligned until the abdominal section. Forget the shoulders and the neck and the cervical spine. That will come later. So you have to do it in the correct order. It's logical. This is factually and scientifically based. I'm
That
not
makes
making this up.
sense.
Pilates is not making this up. So you can be afforded the opportunity to be in miserable posture in Pilates, rolling like a ball.
Right.
You know, you're on your back, you're holding your shins, you're rocking and rolling back. That's terrible posture. Go for it. And you're going to find your abs. And for somebody who's gone through 9 months of increasing disconnection from their abs over that time period, you've got to find them. Pelvic floor, do your Kegels, great, but can you tilt the pelvis in? Probably not right after birth. I've never been pregnant, but I'm guessing it's very unlikely. Even if you were a prior practitioner who knows how to do it and can send the neurological message, you have been stretched out, as you said, like a balloon. Those muscles are not going to contract right away.
Yeah.
You have to build them back up. So now we're back into the habits. We're back into duration of time. We're back into sticking with it and not bailing out and not going short flash to the gym and doing biceps and shoulder exercises. It's absurd. So go to your Pilates, tilt the pelvis in. You can lay on your back on a relatively firm surface.
Okay.
Head down, shoulders down, butt down. Pull your belly button in until your lower back meets the mat. I'm doing it against a chair. Arch a little bit, but not too much. Pull back in. That's all you need to do.
So do you suggest doing reps of that throughout the day or just trying to do a constant sustained?
Do you know what neutral spine is? If you do not, then you have to be careful with your reps and your rep count, and you're thinking like you're going to the gym, or you're not going to end up at the right place.
You're saying it would really be better if they took time and got in a neutral position on the floor, on a mat.
Well, and with instruction.
That was Angie's comment earlier, which is how can you do Pilates without being told what you're doing individually and how it meets.
How to correct it.
Exactly. So they have a new piece of technology. It's called the mirror. It watches you with an algorithm using stick and line drawings, matches it up to you in real time, gives you feedback on your form and posture on exercises. It's invasive. They own the rights to the images. It's kind of crazy from a privacy standpoint, having a camera in your house watching you work out, and then they own that video, right? Like, so be careful with that. But it's real.
Creepy.
It's catching up. So the whole thing, like a DVD can't see you, the technology is working to try to solve that. But currently, if you want to get feedback on how much is too much so that you don't go from arched back, super tight lumbar spine, torn open abdominal muscles to too far, ruining your posture because you never stopped and sat upright, you have to go to an instructor with extensive training and no agenda of just throwing a cookie cutter approach.
Yeah.
So find one that's got a lot of experience, find one that's done.
So you don't suggest just going on YouTube and following exercises
I suggest
rebuild
get moving.
your diastasis recti.
I suggest move. Movement heals everything. Again, the extreme, lay in your bed, you're going nowhere. You're dead in the water, you're going to get worse. You're going to die slowly if you stay not moving. The more you move, in general, the more the body heals itself, the more your anti-inflammatory system is healthier, all those things.
I need to do
improve.
Pilates.
I know. We need to go have a session right now.
Right now.
By definition, movement heals. One of the interesting trends over the last 10 years in sports medicine is come out of surgery, how much time do you stay off your feet? Like
they get you moving right away.
You get a knee surgery, you're either out same day or next day now. So what they're realizing is your body's healing process is accelerated through movement.
Right. And the recovery now in professional sports is mind-boggling. Guys for a knee injury would have been out for months. Now you see guys coming back from knee, surgery. Right. Sometimes in 6 or 7 weeks, they're back on the playing field in baseball and even some of the impact sports. So it's amazing.
Absolutely. And so to dial back, so you posed a question in like a way like, so are you saying don't do? No, I'm saying move. Do what you want to do. What makes you happy? Is it hunting for mushrooms in the woods? Like, go do that. Is it whitewater kayaking? Well, if you can do that, go for it. As long as you're not injuring yourself, do what you like to do. If you fold Pilates in particular into your life, every single thing you do is better.
Yeah.
I like to go to the gymnastics place down the street, Garland's. Put a plug for Garland's, you owe me $1. With my little guy, we take the big guy too, and he runs around and causes trouble and gets in trouble. And I like to go do that. So I'm hanging on the uneven bars. I'm walking on the balance beam. And I'm like grandpa looking dad out there doing all this crazy stuff, having a fun time because Pilates is a part of my life and I never stop moving. But with this, it's also deeper. The more time you spend sitting, that's problematic. Just in general, sit less. Stand on one foot more. You engage your core. It's a balance proposition. Like, don't stand with your feet wide. Don't stand on your toes all the time. So go to an instructor.
I do everything wrong.
Yet you're perfect. How is that?
I do have to say, though, I mean, yes, movement, anything is going to be better than nothing. However, in simple things like a crunch or like a squat or something that, is normal type of exercise that a mom would try to do, when I'm in the studio, I cannot believe how everything I do needs a correction. I think I'm doing it right. And he's like, you got to drop your shoulders. Dang it, you got to pull your shoulders back. You got to pull your back together. It's like
this.
all the time. And so that private instruction is huge because you don't know what you're doing wrong.
But what's going through my mind is I know what some of our moms listening are thinking. I can't afford that.
That's real.
If they could come in just for one 1 hour session, would it be beneficial at all just to help them understand how to do a few simple things to start with? Or is that just not even going to help them?
Well, I don't know what Cal's going to say. I would say make the investment to invest in a good 3, 4, 5 sessions and then come to the group classes. They're much less expensive and they're still very helpful. and you're still going to get good instruction. And by group class, I mean, we're talking 2, 3, 4 people.
That's at my studio. You can go to ones that have 20 people.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. But at Cal's Fitness, a group class means you're getting an extremely reduced rate, and there's 2, 3, 4 people at the most.
But in the meantime, it's 21 days you said to relearn something.
21 days to lose nicotine in your system.
Yeah. So, but it'd be the same thing.
How long is it going to take
if you went to Pilates for a period of time and invested, you're going to start learning these things, posture things correctly, and
different. Like, so what was that change in the law, Title IX, or where they gave women's sports? What was that one back in the 50s? And they could have like women's sports in schools.
Right.
Yeah.
Prior to that, my clients that went to school before that, their muscle memory and their retention of physical postures and behavior is very poor because they were not athletic. They were never trained. Right. They literally were given no chance to become physically active. Right. So, I mean, I'm only saying that not as a social commentary, even though that was jacked up, misogynistic, United States BS, cultural stuff, right? But realistically, everyone's different. Yes, I do. And we want to do a political podcast. You think I'm animated now?
Started.
The point is, like, everyone is different. So to say that her recipe of 3 to 5 private sessions class, great advice, really quality advice. It is not going to work for people that have not been physically active since childhood. They're going to take a lot more. Now, back to your question, by the way, and I didn't mean to degrade your answer. That was great. That's basically what I would say to the average person. But your question of the financial commitment and obligation is a very, very, very personally difficult question for me. Why does Gisele Bündchen, Tom Brady, the best quarterback that ever played football in the National Football League, why is his wife, a multi-hundred millionaire, looking so good? She owns Pilates equipment and does it all the time, and she has for her adult life. She is a fabulous example of, I'm rich, I can afford the best. It makes me look better than you. Yes, I had some surgeries too, although Gisele, I have no idea if you did. You might have been born perfect and just stayed that way. But most people, Madonna and the other ones, look as amazing as they do because they have the resources. Yeah. But what they really have is a commitment to invest in their future wellness. Yes, it's also going to be a vanity-driven prospect. You can bet your bottom dollar that the Hollywood starlets are doing Pilates because the income earning opportunity for women is awful in Hollywood. If you look older and decrepit, you're not going to get the job.
Fat, you don't
Stop. We're not going self-recrimination.
Well, the other thing, Cal.
Let me finish in 1 second. As a personal guy that owns a studio, I struggle with that. My buddy owns an acupuncture business. He can stick needles in people, and he can open up the room and do 30 people more or less. Like, he can have someone else walk around, stab, I pay $7. I can't do that because as soon as you dilute my attention, as per what she was talking about, Angie says it's no good if you're not getting personal attention. You cannot dilute the instructor in a sense that takes my attention away. I refuse to do classes of over 5 people. I will never do it. So the rich get richer and the poor get poor. And if you can't handle it, you're out of luck.
What is a class with 5 people in it? What would it cost them?
$12 an hour at my studio, but I am dirt cheap.
Well, and Cal, what I hear you saying is,
for our moms,
and I think it's important for our listeners to, and for me, is if we don't have this conversation, if we don't ever meet someone like you, then we don't understand the value. If you're a woman out there and you're really wanting to recover and feel better, and you listen to this podcast and you listen to this, you're starting to realize this is a solution. And there's high profile people out there that are using it all the time that have the equipment in their house.
Because it works better than anything else. And the high profile people don't waste their money and time. They are the last person who's going to waste their money and time.
So that's why I think Angie wanted you to have on the program, because women need to know.
Yes, they do. That this is an option.
This has been great.
The equipment is expensive. It's very expensive. The training is expensive. When I got started and opened my business, I needed to recoup my money. Like, I can't do, I do charitable work. So pregnant moms, you're broke, appeal to your instructor. I trade food with this mom. I let my 6-year-old go.
He makes it work for you.
Is so good, dude. It's ridiculous.
Hey, if
I'm
you
a
see,
single dad, I live
if
at
you
home.
see equal value.
I
want to know, do you take chickens though?
Trade.
Live chickens.
I do take eggs from my client that has chickens.
There you go.
They're fabulous. They walk around in their yard.
It's a good bot.
He's the Dr. Quinn of Pilates.
But anyway, we're not advertising for life. No, but seriously, some instructors are amenable to trade. For example, I have in the past looked for a good massage therapist to trade with, and I currently don't have one, but I would be open to that. There's many opportunities. Don't undervalue moms who have post-pregnancy issues, what you could bring to the table and trade with a Pilates instructor. Yep. Some of us are really pathetic and need a lot of stuff.
Right.
Like I'm a hapless
He's a sucker for food, and let me tell you, mamas, your food. He is a sucker for good muffins. So
muffins are so good.
Pitch him a muffin sample, and there's your session.
Have you ever fed him a birth cookie?
I don't know if I have.
Am I going to get pregnant with a birth cookie?
No.
Ask her about her birth cookies. I think we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, I just want to say,
if anybody has any specific questions in your podcast and they push them through to you, feel free to send them to me, and I'll try to do my best to answer any other questions. All right, because we joke and we laugh up here, and it's funny, and this is dead serious stuff. Like if you're dealing with a body issue that hurts, if your back is always in pain, don't turn to opioids. Don't feel bad about yourself and sit in a dark room. Ask a question. I'll reach out to somebody in your community and see if I can find an appropriate Pilates instructor if you come back to me through this podcast. And it's real, it's serious, and it affects whole families. And if you're not healthy and you're not feeling well, you can't care for your children well, and we got generations. It's a big deal. I'll help.
Okay, yeah.
Call Angie. I'll give you Angie's
telephone.
No, don't do it. I have to edit it.
calsfitness.com, and it's a great website, and it talks about his
website.
It's fun, and there's some testimonials on there, and they're awesome. Some really wonderful.
Do a testimonial for me.
I do. These really wonderful women that have spent a lot of time with Cal and have just amazing things to say.
You can do that, but I'd rather you get in touch with me through this podcast. I'm going to let them filter out the less
crazies.
than desirable ones. So reach out to the podcast, and then they'll bring me into the picture as needed. So I think it's a great podcast. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Much.
Yeah, it was really fun.
For coming. I got an education today, and I need to do Pilates.
No.
Yeah, and I just really have to close by. I would be remiss to not say that. Cal is a treat to work with. Pilates is amazing. It's perfectly tailored. He's a pill. No doubt he's a pill, but he's a lot of fun. He's never going to make you feel uncomfortable or stupid.
No instructor ever should. And if you have one that is, leave.
And he has a way of, just drawing you out, and the session is fun. It is a perfect mix of flexibility and movement and strength. You feel energized after. You're not going to feel beat down. And he is always going to pump you up and make you feel good about yourself. You're going to leave feeling awesome. All the people around you in your life should. Awesome. Well, they don't. And moms are their own worst enemies. We tell ourselves the worst things about ourselves.
Come on now.
And he is awesome at helping to correct that thinking. So I highly recommend it. And I am super glad that you were able to join us today. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me. You guys are awesome. Man.
Thanks, Cal. Well, you've heard it here. This is the bonus footage and Voda's podcast on more about birth on Pilates. And this has been great, Cal. Thank you for joining us. And so if you'd like to know more, you can tune in to our YouTube channel or as well our website at Natural Care Midwifery. It's nc-midwifery.com. Thanks for tuning in to More About Birth, and we're going to see you here next time.
See you later.
Thanks.
This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. Please check out Natural Care Midwifery, our podcast page, for our full disclaimer.